On this episode of This is Game Boy Lite, we save the princess. Or not, whatever. Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of This is a Game Boy Lite with me, your host, Moelle. So yeah, like always, in between our full episodes we have these a little shorter episodes where only one of us takes the lead to talk to you about either a topic or something else, or just a game that is just too small to talk about with two people for an extended period of time. So yeah, before we dive into this week's episode, maybe you don't recognize the name from the episode title, Ganso Yanchamaru, but it will become very clear very soon. But yeah, first let's take a look at what I've been doing, which is not that much actually since last time. I know last episode I had like this huge list of games that I played, but that is definitely not the case right now. So I finished up The Legend of Dragoon for PlayStation. I enjoyed playing it. I still think it's a great RPG, but it is slow. Like, everything takes forever to do, like all the animations that need to happen, like all the inputs that need to happen. Just an example, like the last boss just took almost an hour because of quote-unquote cutscenes or like little animations for every move and things like that. So it's pretty long. The game took me around, I would say 50 hours in total by the end. I did quote-unquote complete it. Like, I got all the side quests out of the way. There aren't that many to begin with, but yeah, it could have been a lot shorter if I first of all would have played the NTSC version, because the PAL version of course is a little bit slower to begin with, but it's still like just a little bit too slow, and I think that will turn a lot of people off from this game. But if you're not turned off by it, I would definitely check it out if you've never played it before, or pray that someday we'll see a remaster of it, but I highly doubt it, even though it did sell well. But yeah, I don't think they have any intention of rebooting that quote-unquote franchise, if you can even call it that. Just before I started recording, I've finished Battletoads, the new one. I mentioned together with Hero during our Battletoads episode that we had never played it before. I had seen EBC play the final act of that game, but I didn't really play it myself. But I did grab it, I think, right after we recorded the episode on Battletoads. I can confirm that that story that I found, like the back story of the Battletoads, does not come from that game at all, so I have no idea where it stems from. But yeah, speaking of this new Battletoads, it's not for me. It's absolutely not for me. I think it has amazing graphics. I think it has great humor during the cutscenes. I would have rather just watched the cutscenes and like maybe with some more cutscenes, so the boss fights would also be cutscenes. Look, it would have been better as a cartoon than an actual game, in my opinion. It goes all over the place. It's 75% mini games, maybe 10% actual fighting, and the rest are like turbo tunnel things. Yeah, I just didn't really enjoy playing it. Even though it plays fine and everything, but I don't know, it was totally not for me. And you could argue, like, the old Battletoads games, like, they also have a lot of different genres put in there, but they fit more in that case. In this, it was just literally all over the place. Like, you have normal platforming stages where you don't fight at all. You have a shoot 'em up section, well, way too many shoot 'em up sections. Like I said, like turbo tunnel sections. You have a whole bunch of mini games you have to sit through, and it doesn't provide any real like deep gameplay, in my opinion. And the thing where it should shine, which is the beat 'em up part, is the most horrible part of the game, in my opinion. I do not like the beat 'em up parts at all. So I had more fun with the mini games than with the actual game. So yeah, that's kind of weird, but I don't know. Check it out. It might be on sale right now because it's Steam Summer Sale. I don't know if the sale will still be going when this episode comes out, but the game is on sale a lot. Sadly, you can only get it, of course, for Xbox and for PC. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it that much either, because I don't like playing on PC, but that was my only option. But yeah, hey, I did check it out, I did finish the game, but I'll probably never play it again. It really wasn't for me. After that, not after that. I've also been playing Mario and Luigi Dream Team Bros, the 3DS game. I think it's the fourth Mario and Luigi game. I might be wrong. Like I've only played Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story before it. I think there's another one that I haven't touched. So this would be the third one I'm playing. I always enjoy these games. They are technically RPGs, but more action RPG, even not that. Like it's a fun game, in my opinion. I really like these games. They're a chill time. They're not too hard, even though that last boss fight that I did was way harder than anything in the game before that. But yeah, they're a fun time. The only problem I have with 3DS is that I can only play it for like 2 hours maximum, because otherwise my hands start to hurt, my neck starts to hurt. I don't enjoy playing for long periods on a 3DS, which is sad because it has a lot of good games that do require you to play long sessions. Like there are a lot of great RPGs on it, and yeah, sadly I can't play it for a long time. But yeah, whatever. I'll get through that game eventually. It's just gonna take me a while because I can't do it for long periods of time. But I'm looking forward to playing a lot more of that game for sure. Onto PlayStation 4, I've gotten a copy of DBZ, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is like the quote-unquote adventure / fighting game that came out for Dragon Ball Z. I'm enjoying it. It's really not that great of a game, but as somebody who loves Dragon Ball mostly, Dragon Ball Z a little bit less, but I've grew up with it, like it's been in my life forever. I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of nods to original Dragon Ball as well. It has some new scenes that are made just for the game, which are pretty funny. Definitely in the silliness of Dragon Ball, or the silly parts of Dragon Ball Z. I think they did really well. It also has the complete American cast of it, if you grew up with that like me. Like I don't really like watching it in Japanese, so it's a godsend that they actually got the entire American dub team for it. So like Sans Chamel and I can't remember the rest of the names, but you know those people. I think it's one of the best dubs ever made, so makes a lot of sense that they would do this. I'm sad that they only do it for Dragon Ball Z, though. I wish they also did it for the One Piece games, which mainly consists of a lot of the same people who are doing the dub. I watch One Piece in the dub as well, so I'm like 400 episodes behind for sure, but I would like to see that in the One Piece games as well, but I guess they're not quote-unquote that popular compared to Dragon Ball, so that's a little sad for me. But yeah, I feel like Dragon Ball Z, it covers the entire storyline, so from the Saiyan saga up until the Buu saga, and the DLC has like the first 2 parts of Super, I think, like God of Destruction, Beerus, and I think Golden Freeze. I think those are the DLCs, and the third one just came out, which is about Trunks, but I think it's about like the Gohan Trunks movie from the future, so not the new Trunks thing from Super. And they're pretty cheap. I think they're only $5 a piece, so if you want a little bit more gameplay after it, definitely pick those up as well. But it's gonna be a 40-hour game, which is pretty long. But like again, I said, a lot of cutscenes and new things. So it's really fun. I think if you are a fan, get that game. If you don't really care about Dragon Ball a lot, maybe not pick it up, unless you're interested in the story, because it does tell the story of Dragon Ball Z, at least, with some nods and hints to Dragon Ball. I wish they would make a Dragon Ball game this way. That would be absolutely fantastic, would really be cool. And then moving on to Game Boy, haven't done much. I finished Adventures of Lolo, never want to see that game ever in my life again. I hope I can burn my copy someday if I have two of them. I just don't like Lolo. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. And the consensus on the Game Boy one, even from people who liked Lolo on NES, like the trilogy, say that the Game Boy one is just awful compared to that. Other people actually enjoy it, so I don't know. But if you do want to pick this one up, just remember that the Japanese version has like 50 levels, and the American version or European version has 150 levels, so you know what you're in for. But yeah, definitely not a game for me, so never ever playing Lolo again. And now I'm just trying to finish Picross 2. I've made it to the Wario levels. It's gonna be another 60 hours of Picross before I'm done with that, but I do want to just finish it now before diving into another game. I just want to get it over with. Not that I'm not enjoying myself playing Picross, but it needs to end as well. Like, I'm almost 80 hours in, I believe, now, so yeah, I just want to get through that game so I can move on to other things instead of just always taking a break. But yeah, that's everything I've been up to. I don't see any new games coming up later for later episodes. I think I'm gonna be stuck with these three last ones that I talked about. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll play something else in between as well. But yeah, that's it for this part. So yeah, before we dive into this week's game, Ganso Yanchamaru, we'll take a short break so you can enjoy the music of this game. There aren't that many tracks, but I think we can fill up the episode with them, at least. So yeah, enjoy. Be right back. Welcome back, everybody, and let's dive into this episode's game, Ganso Yanchamaru. A lot of you people will say, what is that? I've never heard of that before. Well, maybe you haven't heard of this title before, but maybe you've actually seen or played it, or know the other games from this franchise, but it's actually Kid Niki for Game Boy. That's how most people call it anyways, but the actual title is Ganso Yanchamaru, and it only came out in Japan. That's why it's called like that. If there would have been a port, which is weird that they didn't, it definitely would have been called Kid Niki anyways. I have mentioned this game before very briefly during my Irem Lite episode, and of course, because I mentioned it there, this is a game developed and published by Irem. If you want to hear more about Irem itself, I would suggest just checking out that episode. I go into a little bit more detail about the company there, and I just do a quick overview of all the games they made for Game Boy, but we've mentioned a lot of them before, like Hammering Harry, R-Type, things like that, so definitely go check out that episode if you want to know more about Irem games in general. This game actually came out on July 11th in 1991, so still a pretty early Game Boy game for sure. It shows, absolutely, like it's not as refined as Hammering Harry would be in the future. But yeah, this is definitely one of their earlier games on Game Boy. I think R-Type might have come out in the same year, but it was not developed by Irem. Actually, that one was done by Bit Studios. The composer I sadly do not know for this game. The game does not show any credits. I couldn't find anything about it on the internet. So if anybody happens to know who composed for this game specifically, definitely let me know. We can always come back to it in a later episode if that person shows up again. But yeah, I could not find anything about it. And what is this game? Well, it's basically a 2D platformer based on an old arcade game. That's pretty much what this one is. But yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into what Yanchamaru or Kid Niki is. So this game is part of the Kid Niki Radical Ninja series. That's how it's known in the West, basically. But in Japan, it's known as Kaiketsu Yanchamaru, or roughly translated, the Wonderful Yanchamaru. Yanchamaru is the main protagonist of this series, and for the West, he was just called Kid Niki, which is a kind of weird translation. I don't know where it comes from, but yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, the original game was, of course, an arcade game, like I mentioned. Like a lot of these, or probably most of the Irem games, they first came out as an arcade game, and later they got ported. So for Kid Niki Radical Ninja, it got ported to NES, basically. So the game got 2 sequels for the Famicom, first being called Kaiketsu Yanchamaru 2 Karakuri Land, and the second is just called Kaiketsu Yanchamaru 3. Ganso Yanchamaru has nothing to do with the arcade ports or even the sequels. This is a totally unique game for the series, and that's always cool. I really like it when they make a game for the Game Boy that is actually like not tied to the rest, but is like a nice sequel to it, something completely different. So yeah, that's what Irem definitely did for this one. Kind of like with Hammering Harry, where they just made a completely different game as well. Always cool to see. As far as plot goes, I do not have the manual for this, plus it's a Japanese game, so it would be hard for me to read the manual anyways. But let's just go with what I think the plot is, which is basically based on the plot of the original game. Princess Margot, or Kurimihime, as she's called in Japan, has been kidnapped. Go save her. That's basically the plot of this game. Like, there's definitely nothing more to it. But yeah, Kid Niki, as I'll be calling him from now on out, is basically a ninja in training, and he has to go save his actual girlfriend. The princess is his girlfriend, and that's basically the entire plot of this game. So yeah, let's dive a little bit into the gameplay of this game. So yeah, like I said earlier, it's a simple 2D platforming, mostly based on an arcade-style platformer, which means that usually you take one hit and you die, and that's also the case in this game. There are enemies in your way, and if they hit you once, you will actually die. When it comes to the controls of this game, it's very simple. Your A button will jump, your B button will attack, either with your spinning sword. Yes, it is a spinning sword, it's not some kind of yo-yo or shuriken that is just floating in front of you, but you do have shurikens actually. So if you have those, you will just attack with your spinning sword, but also throw a shuriken out there. You start the game with 3 lives and have 3 continues in case you would game over. For a first-time player, that might be a little daunting, but to be honest, this game isn't all that hard. There are pickups hidden throughout the stage, which you can find in blocks that you can break with your spinning sword. In them you will find either coins, 100 of these will give you an extra life. You can find the shuriken upgrade, which nets you 10 shuriken, which you automatically use when attacking, so you can't like just select them. There's also a scroll, which gives you invincibility for a short period of time. I think it's like around 10 seconds, which is pretty long actually when it comes to this game. And there might also be 1-ups hidden throughout these blocks. Sometimes though, when you destroy one of these blocks, there will be a door. This will take you to a hidden room. And these are little bonus rooms with more blocks that you can break, and those will net you even more coins so you can get extra lives. At the end of each stage, you can grab a floating letter B. It always comes in a different pattern for each stage, like it's a set pattern in the stage, but it's always a different pattern between stages. And if you grab that, you will go into a bonus game where you can actually gain even more coins or an extra life or 3. There is a quote-unquote trick to this bonus game where if you just hit the attack button as soon as the game starts, you will always, without get a 1-up, just one. But yeah, like I said, there's definitely also the possibility of getting a 3-up or more coins. It just depends on how you play it. But if you want an easy 1-up, just immediately attack and you will always get that 1-up, which is really great if you're just starting out with the game. So let's dive a little bit into the worlds that this game has to offer. So this game is... This game consists of 4 worlds in total, so we'll just go through them in order. And each of these worlds consists of 3 levels, with the 3rd level ending in a quote-unquote boss fight. So you first start this game in the forest or plains zone. Very simple stage, very straightforward to the right. Not that many obstacles for you to avoid or to jump over, but there are a lot of enemies in your way, of course. I'll go over the enemies for each stage, and for each new zone we go through. If there's a new enemy, I will mention it, but I'm not gonna go over the entire list of enemies every time. Usually it's just the same ones as the level before, but then with added enemies, indeed. So yeah, the enemies in this first zone. First we got the Yanchamaru. These are just rabbits that jump around towards you. You got the Tamadori, which are pooping birds. They fly over you and they just poop on you. Easy to avoid. They poop in a very, very distinguishable pattern. But you can also knock them out of the sky and then you won't have to worry about poop on your head at all. Then there's the normal type of enemies, which are guys that just keep running towards you. These are called the Konkyo, and they also have like a smaller variant in later stages, and those are called the Chibi-Kon. Of course they are. You will also find a hermit crab. These will stay in their shell for a period of time, then pop out for a little bit and move forward, and that is the only time you can hit them. These are called the Mai Mai. And then you also encounter lucky cats. You know, those cats that have the coin in the middle of them and have their arm moving down and upwards, that you can find in most Japanese stores, those lucky cats. And these are called the Tamanyan. These will walk towards you, drop a bomb, and then run off. Or if you hit them before they run off, they will just drop a bomb as soon as they get hit. So yeah, Forest Plains Zone, 3 stages, pretty simple, straightforward platforming, not that many pitfalls either, just a lot of enemies, a lot of blocks where you can gain some coins and extra lives. But in the end, you will face the first boss, which is actually a big lucky cat, and this one is called Mannarin. It's a easy fight if you know what you're doing throughout this game, because all bosses in the game have a very good weakness, which is called stun locking. So when you hit a boss, you have like definitely a second in which you can just put yourself in the right position to hit them again and keep them stun locked throughout the entire fight, which means it's an easy fight. They can't do anything. It just takes a few hits to kill the lucky cat. He flies off the screen, a scroll drops from the ceiling, you grab it, and the world is over. Simple as that. I don't even remember what this guy does, sadly enough, because I'm so used to fighting him this way that I just can't remember what his actual attack is. I think he jumps towards you. if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's really, really simple to stun lock them. So yeah, that takes care of the first world, the forest or plains zone. Coming up next is the Cloud Zone. There are some new enemies in here, not that many, but there are a few. There are these trolley-looking guys jumping up from the clouds. I think they're just basically mini Raijin or Fujins. If you know a little bit about Japanese gods and things like that. Raijin and Fujin are like the gods of thunder and wind. They're always depicted with floating on a cloud with like a horn or those orbs around them. You have seen them, like there's even Pokemon based on them, you can find them in many games, but these little guys are called Tsuno. So all they do is jump out of a cloud in front of you, trying to hit you with their horns, and that's about all they do. There's also tornadoes flying around, called the Kururin. I'm gonna assume Kururin is maybe Japanese for tornadoes. I think a lot of these names are literally the Japanese name for these things, because the next one is Evil Clouds, and those are Pukurin, and I'm pretty sure Pukurin means cloud. Or I might be totally wrong, which is probably the case. But yeah, there are some evil clouds. They are stationary enemies that shoot. It's easy to tell when they're gonna shoot, so are easy to avoid as well. Anyways, this zone consists of course, clouds. So you are up in the sky. Everything is a pitfall if you happen to miss your jump here or there. But it's pretty easy still to get by. You can stay on the top of the screen most of the time, avoiding things. There are a few sections where you have to do a little platforming section with moving clouds. Those are a little bit harder, especially if those pesky pooping birds show up in your way or those tornadoes. But just take your time and you get by them very easily. Anyways, at the end of this zone, you face the boss. Again, it's either Fujin or Raijin, the wind god or the thunder god, but in this case he is called Tsunopa. This guy will float at the top of the screen, will drop bombs on you, which you can easily avoid, and after 2 cycles of that he will sweep down trying to hit you. Again, he has a great weakness. The moment he comes down to you and you can hit him, you can technically stun lock him. Just take your time in between hits and he will stay in place and you could easily defeat him. Otherwise, hit him, jump over him, let him do his cycle again, he will come down. But yeah, it's a lot easier to do it with the stun lock, of course. Only takes around 4 or 5 hits, I always forget how many. Again, he flies off into the distance, a scroll drops, you grab it, and you're done. After the Cloud Zone, we move into the Cave Zone. The new enemies here will be the 2-headed snakes, or Neoroni, as they are called. These guys move a few pixels forward, then shoot, move a few pixels forward, shoot, rinse and repeat. There are some sections where they're hard to deal with, where you have to take care of blocks first before being able to get to them. The way to do is just to plan it out so they don't shoot just the moment that you have to move, of course. You can duck under their shots, which is a technique I didn't really talk about because you don't really use it much, to be honest. But yeah, it's best to make sure they are not shooting the moment you are trying to jump towards them. Besides that, you also have the bats, called the Patara. These just swoop down from the ceiling and head towards you. That's basically all they do. But there are also some hidden enemies in this stage when you break certain blocks. And those are the Tanukis, which stay in place for a while where you can't hit them, but the moment they start moving, you can actually hit them. But it's a weird timing, you'll have to get used to it, but you can't hit them the moment they drop out of the block. At least you have to wait a little bit. And these are called the Pon-Pon. But yeah, make sure to keep that in mind, that some blocks will hide these Pon-Pons in them. So a little bit more in depth about this cave zone. It's a little tighter platforming because there is a ceiling and of course a floor that you have to squiggle your way through. You have a lot of blocks to break to be able to move forward. There are a lot of moving platforms that take you across or under spikes where you have to duck and jump in between them and things like that. So this one is a little harder to go through, especially the first time you're playing this game. But just don't worry, again, take your time taking care of the enemies, take your time making sure you find a good way to progress through the stage, and you should be fine. Play safe until you come across the boss of this area, which is some kind of antlion slash spider. Like, his name is Taranchu, but he looks like an antlion. And he spits out little spiders, so I'm not sure. I think it's just a combination of the two of those. This guy stays on the ceiling, spits out 3 or 4 little spiders that you can just hit out of the air, and after that he will drop down. This is the only moment you can hit him, so he comes down, he touches the floor, you hit him, he goes back up. Sadly, this guy cannot be stun locked like the rest of the bosses, so it will take some more time to deal with him. Luckily, he's easy enough to avoid because he just drops down vertically completely. Like, it's not like he's tracking towards you. Just take your time taking care of the little guys first, make him drop down, hit him, let him go back up. Rinse and repeat. And after a few hits, again, he flies off into the distance, you grab a scroll, and you move on to the next area, which is the final area of the game. And the final area is the Fortress Zone. You basically start out on your way towards the fortress. With fortress, I mean like one of those Japanese fortresses, not like a medieval fortress like we are used to, of course, but one of those Japanese castles. And there's only one new enemy actually in this place called the Gachi, which is a bomb-throwing samurai. These guys take a few more hits than usual, I think 2 or 3. The only thing they do is they walk towards you, they throw a bomb in front of them. That's basically it. If you hit them, they move backwards a little bit, and then you have to wait before you can hit them again. But it's easy to take care of them anyways. Fortress Zone in its whole is like kind of... what's the word? Kind of a combination of all previous zones. Like, there's a very normal, straightforward walk to the right stage, reminiscent of the Plains Zone. The second one is a little bit more like Cloud Zone, where you have to do some leaps in the air, having to avoid pitfalls and things like that. And the final one gets a little bit tighter with like you going into the fortress itself with tight corridors that you have to get through and some platforms that you have to try and jump over. There's a really hard section in this part, but if you've done it a few times, it won't be that much of a problem. But yeah, at the end, you will come across the boss, of course, for this area, which is the evil fox ninja, Konkyo. This guy actually spawns as 3 Konkons, hence why his name Konkyo, I guess. And then he turns into a big ninja with a fox mask. This guy, again, has a big problem. He can be stun locked, so basically the moment he forms, you can start hitting him and then just take your time to do some hits in between to keep him in place, and he will be gone before you know it, flying through the air and dropping a scroll that you can grab. Again, sadly, I don't remember what he actually does if you do not do this. I think he actually throws those chibi-cons out, if I'm not mistaken, while jumping across the stage. But yeah, the bosses are a joke in this game, so you can take care of them easily. And that is the final boss of this game. The game is over, and now comes the great finale, which we have all been waiting for. Yanchamaru, or Kitniki, runs towards Princess What's-Her-Face again? Margot, or Kurimihime. She gets pushed off a roof, thanks to one of those Konkons, and you jump over a pit trying to catch her. I said try, because sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't, and she will just fall down into the pit. We have no idea what causes this. It might be tied to your score. It might be timed to a certain time, because all stages are timed for sure, but you have plenty of time to get through them, so don't have to worry about that. So we're not sure what causes it. Maybe it is just completely random. It's just a roll of the dice as soon as you've defeated the final boss. If anybody would know how to investigate that, to check what the trigger is for either of those cutscenes, let us know. It would be nice to finally know after so many years. But yeah, it is fun. We're always praying that he won't catch her, because it's way more funny. But most of the time he definitely will catch her. And that's the end of the game. Credits start rolling. You see Yanchamaru and Margot. You see them standing in some kind of hall. All the enemies of the game will appear with their names. That's why I knew all these names, of course. And then one of the Konkons will pull a curtain. He will close a curtain, and then he will open it again, and then you can see the entire cast of this game standing there. The Konkon comes again, pulls away the curtain again, and then it just says game end, I believe. Not the end, but game end. Yeah, that's the game. That's all there is to it. I don't think I have much more to say about this game. Again, that's why we're doing a light episode on it. But it's a very, very simple 2D platforming game consisting of 12 stages in total with 4 boss fights. Very easy. Could be hard a little bit the first time you try it, but if you play it 2 or 3 times, you will definitely know what to do. And it's like a 50-minute game, so you can easily get through it. Alright, so let's take a look at the cover art for this game, which I really like. I think this is a really good cover art. You can see the main character, Kitniki or Yanchamaru, right there. He's like a little ninja. Kinda is wearing the Dragon Ball outfit, to be honest. And besides him is the princess. You can see him kinda shooting a fireball, but it's his spinning sword that he's using. But yeah, they're in the front, basically. And in the background, you can see the fortress where she's being held by that evil fox guy. Thunder is striking everywhere. There's something flying in the air that looks like a dragonfly made out of paper. But yeah, Yanchamaru is jumping out of the picture, basically. Kuremi Margot is just standing there with an O face, like, oh no, what's going on? Kitniki is also holding one of those invincibility scrolls, apparently. But yeah, it's a very colorful, very Japanese anime type of cover. I really like it. I have the card of this game in very pristine condition, so like the label is still shiny and things like that. And it's one of my favorite ones to just look at sometimes, because it's so pretty. It's very colorful, and it's always nice to see that. But yeah, that's basically all there is on it. You don't see any enemies or things like that. It says Ganso Yanchamaru at the bottom with a lucky bell, apparently. I think in the NES one you collect bells instead of coins, like in this one. So that's probably why it's there. Oh yeah. Sadly, I couldn't find any trivia or reception for this game, so we can just skip over that part, but we can dive pretty quickly into my thoughts and history with the game. So I've always had this game on a multi-cart when I was a kid. I just loved picking it up for a quick game in between, because it only took me like 20 minutes to beat it anyways, but I really enjoyed it. And this is one of those games that you would love to have on a multi-cart, because it's like a Japanese game that you will not come across otherwise, and you don't need to know any Japanese to play it at all, because there's nothing in this game that requires you to read Japanese, so it's just game start, and that's basically it. So yeah, always enjoyed this game. When I picked it back up for portable pleasure, I probably have played it 1,700 times before that again anyway, so it was a quick game for me. I think I lost the footage and I had to redo it again. No problem for such a short game, so didn't really matter anyways. But when I picked it back up again, I did think like, hey, I can do this faster, let's do a speed run of it. So this ties into our next section, which is the small speedrunning section. So I did route this game for quite a long time. I don't think I was the first. I think Infinite Mystery actually already had a run of this because he did the NES version as well. But I kind of looked into it to see what could be improved on this game, and there was quite a lot. This is actually a very fun speedrun to do because it consists of basically holding right the entire time and jumping at the right moments to avoid enemies. Like, especially at the start of the game, it's more about just movement, keep on moving instead of like actually doing tricks or anything like that. Like, there are no tricks in this game at all. It's basically remembering the stage. Each stage takes like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, like they're very short, so it's easy to form a route in your head while you're doing it, and then just trying out some things like, is this faster, or is this faster? But yeah, it has a very, very cool, sleek run if you would look at some of the speed runs. I haven't done it in a long time. I don't remember how to do it completely, but yeah, it just basically playing the levels and seeing what works best for you to like just avoid enemies and keep going right without stopping. In later stages, you have to wait at some parts for sure, but in the earlier stages, it just run to the end. Of course, in the speedrun, you will not pick up the bonuses at the end of the stages. Luckily, you always get a bonus at the end of a boss fight, so if you need a 1-up, you can always grab one there. But of course, you're not supposed to die because it is a speedrun. And there is one thing that I myself haven't come across, but in stage 3-3, there is this platforming section with spinning platforms, and for some reason, probably due to how the game gets loaded in that section, there might be a possibility that you cannot jump on something. I still don't know how it works. Like, I've tried it a few times, but I can't seem to find a consistent reasoning to it. But it basically soft locks you in the level. The only way to fix that is by dying, so if you die, you can try it again. Of course, you do not want that for a speedrun. But yeah, like, I have not come across it myself, but I have seen it happen a lot of times. So it's definitely something that wasn't programmed well, and you literally can't progress there, like, for some reason. But yeah, that's basically all there is to the speedrun. Like, I mentioned the soft locks for the bosses, which makes it super easy to get through them. There's a little optimization here and there that you might do better or not, but it's very simple. If you're looking for like a 10-minute run that is kind of challenging to do perfectly, but is definitely doable in like 15 minutes maybe, definitely pick this one up as a speedrun. It's very easy to learn. So there you go. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Ganso Yanchamaru. So let's take another break so you can listen to another track of this alright game. It's not amazing, but it's alright. And then I'll come back with the outro for this episode. See you soon. And welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that second song from Ganso Yanchamaru. Anyways, that is all she wrote for this episode. As always, thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are gonna pick up this game yourself if you haven't played it before. But yeah, that's all for me for today. If you have any thoughts or suggestions for us, for me, for EBC, for Lex, for any of our guest hosts maybe. Doesn't matter. You can always contact us by commentating on one of our episodes, either on SoundCloud or on any of the other podcast things that you might use where you can find us. You can also email us, of course, at thisisgameboy@gmail.com. You can find us in our Discord. There are plenty ways to contact us. If you want to contact us personally, you can do that as well, or just follow us personally to see what we are up to besides just doing this podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and even Instagram, all /Moelle, which you write MOELLEUH. You can find my co-host eBloodyCandy on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. I know on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram it's probably eBloodyCandy. Well, maybe not on Instagram. On YouTube he doesn't have like a custom URL, I believe. But yeah, you can always find the link for that on his Twitch or his Twitter page. You can find our amazing producer Lex on Twitch as SprintingLegs, on Twitter as SprintingLegs, on YouTube as Legs, on Discord as Legs, but she also has her own website with a lot of other projects besides just This Is Game Boy, and that is SprintingLegs.com. Are you tired of hearing all of these different URLs you can follow? Well, just go to thisisgameboy.com. You can find our website there with links to everything, just hiding a click away behind some cool images. So that is a lot easier than what I've been trying to tell you here. Anyways, would you like to support the podcast? You can do that in various ways. The best way to do it is basically by liking our episodes wherever you hear them. Every like or every comment or anything like that, or every rating will put us higher up there between other podcasts, and that will make more people listen to us. So that's always one of the best ways to support our cause for sure. But if you would like to support us by giving us some money, you can do that as well. We have a Patreon, which is of course the monthly subscription-based plan on patreon.com. This is a Game Boy, where you can just support us monthly with the amount that you would like to support us with. As for now, we have 2 tiers, but I think we're gonna change some things up in the near future. We need to have a discussion about that first, but I think we're gonna sprucing things up on our Patreon for sure. But for now, you have some benefits, of course, if you do that, which is access to our episode notes, access to special channels in our Discord where you can find bloopers or just random things that Lex puts together to try and make fun of me and EBC, like, you know, anything that makes us look stupid, basically. And she has a lot of material from this episode, let me tell you, because I have messed up like 100 times or something. But yeah, if you do not like to support us like on a monthly basis, you would rather just give us a donation one time for all our efforts that we do. We also have a paypal.me link. Again, that's paypal.me/thisisgameboy, where you can just give us a one-time donation if you liked. We would love to give you the same benefits as a Patreon user, though, if you do so. So let us know by just contacting one of us personally, or if you are in our Discord, you can just contact us like, hey, I'm that person that supported you through there. So we can give you some of these benefits as well, of course, for your support. If you would like to actually get something in return for supporting us, besides all these amazing professional episodes, of course, we actually do have some merch right now. You can go to merch.thisisgameboy.com. That will take you to our store place, where you at this moment can buy a limited edition t-shirt, which will be available for, well, another month from now. It's available until the end of July, or a coffee mug with just our normal logo on it. Another t-shirt will be available with our normal logo after the limited edition period runs out, of course. But yeah, if you would like to wear something from us or have like a cup of coffee and while listening to us, you can have one with the logo on it if you really wanted to. Again, that's on merch.thisisgameboy.com. Alright, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Thank you all again for joining me. Hopefully you had fun. I had fun. I messed up a lot, like I already said. This was a horrible, horrible recording for me, apparently, but hopefully Lex can make it sound really good for you guys. And me and EBC will be back in a full next episode where we are not going to be talking about a specific game or anything, but we're going to be looking back on 3 years of This Is Game Boy and maybe talk a little about what we want to do in the future with it. But yeah, hope to see you people there. Have a great day or night whenever you're listening. See you then. Bye-bye. Well, my cat is here. So let's do that again soon. Wait, I'm gonna see what's up with him. Okay, wanted to go outside, but then he didn't want to go outside, so now he's still inside, so maybe he'll bother me again in 5 seconds.